What is happening, y'all? We are back at it again with another video. Today I'm going to be reacting to the most eye-opening 20 minutes of your life by Jordan Peterson Motivation.
And this person said, the depth of live. He got asked this question, and this person said, the depth of my consciousness causes me to suffer. Is it a blessing or a curse to feel everything so very deeply?
It is a blessing because without knowing what you're feeling and understanding what you're feeling, you may never know what your depths of your consciousness will go to, because it's such a blessing. Because why do you feel everything so deeply? You may never know wherever this life will lead you to, because without it, you may never know where this life will lead you to. Which is the best part about life, is that without knowing where your life is leading and what you are doing now, you may never know what the next step will be. And whatever this next step is, it is the next step to forthcoming whatever it is you're trying to see yourself as a blessing as. And the way I look at it is that not knowing whatever it is you're going through and understanding what you're going through can help you immensely through this rough time and this rough patch.
I was like, give that person a podcast. Like, whoever asked that question, it's a phenomenal question, right? And Peterson thought for a moment, and he said, the only way out is through. You take more of the thing that poisons you and
You take more of the thing that poisons you,
you turn it into a tonic that
you turn into a tonic that girdles the world around you. Because without gritting your teeth and girdling that tonic water, you may never know where this next thing will lead. Which is the best part about life, I think, because everything is so unexpected, where it could flip over and turn its head on its side, because you may never know.
girdles the world around you. And I was like, that's awesome.
Only you would say that.
Yeah.
That's a beautifully well spoken said by Jordan Peterson, because if you don't take more of the stuff that is poisoning you, then you turn into a toxic thing that turns into a toxic thing that takes down the discipline, the action, the realm of thought, whatever it is. It's a blessing, because without not knowing what toxic thing is girdling you and having you go from point A to point B, you may never know where this life will lead.
He was like apocalyptic piece of life advice.
But one thing I'm not getting, there's a big difference between letting people do something for themselves and saying men should be dangerous. By dangerous, that implies I should be ready to threaten someone, to hurt somebody.
No, you should be capable of it.
You should be capable of atoning for the dangerous thing. Because without being dangerous, there is no fear, there is no agony, there is no pain, there is no past resentment. There is nothing within this world that shows you what your true colors are besides fear, agony, and danger. Because you should be capable of doing the things that you are afraid of doing. Which is the best part about life, is that without knowing what it is you're supposed to be dangerous of and how you should be dangerous is two different sides of the coin. And whatever you flip it, whatever you do with the coin, it will always give you the same side over and over and over again. It's like repetition. Over, 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 and over again.
But that doesn't mean you should use it. There's nothing to you otherwise. Like, if you're not a formidable force, there's no morality in your self-control.
There is no morality within your self-control, because you've seen the delusion of what it is yourself is putting to agony, to danger, to hatred. Without hate, there is no fear. Without hate, there is no pain. Without hate, there is no agony. everything that I've said has revolved around one thing, and that's hate. Hating yourself. What are you trying to become? What are you trying to do? What are you trying to say? What are you trying to act on?
If you're incapable of violence, not being violent isn't a virtue. People who teach martial arts know this full well, right? If you learn a martial art, you learn to be dangerous, but simultaneously you learn to control it. Both of those come together. And the combination of that capacity for danger and the capacity for control is what brings about the virtue. Otherwise,
What brings about the virtue? Because there are virtuous things that we can do within our life now that help us realize whatever it is that virtuous thing is, because we may never know where this life will lead us to, which I think is one of the most best things, because without understanding our virtue, we may never know where this life will lead, which is the best part about life, in my personal opinion, because without understanding what are we virtuous, what are we trying to take an accountability of our life, what are we trying to say, what are we trying to do, what are we trying to act, what are we trying to react to the world about. Whatever it is, it can change within a blink of an eye.
you confuse weakness with moral virtue. I'm harmless, therefore I'm good. It's like, no, that isn't how it works. That isn't how it works at all. If you're harmless, you're just weak. And if you're weak, you're not going to be good. You can't be, because it takes strength to be good. It's very difficult to be good. A harmless man is not a good man. A good man is a very, very dangerous man.
A good man is a very dangerous man. Bow down, and stop the name to Menendez. And I'm a Menendez. And I'm a Menendez. What's up, my name from? What's up, my name from? What's up, my name from? When I'm in a wrestling. A good man is a very dangerous man, because once we understand our mind, our body, and our soul, those three main pillars. What I love is I try to know, but the way you can stop every night, it's all for you. What I love to leave is I got now the way you can stop it's time to bounce down the moon down no zone. More. Because a good man is a very dangerous man. We know what our mind wants. We know what our body wants. We know what our soul wants, which means stop taking life so seriously. Just take a step back, breathe, look, think, act, understand. Because we all must understand what this life is putting towards us. We know what our life is going to. We know what we're trying to do. We know what we're trying to say, because we are afraid. When we are afraid, that is when we jump. That is when we go. That is when we do. Because if we do not do the things that are fearing us and that we are afraid of, then I will see you on the other side. Playing a character, playing some sort of story, reading the script back and over and back and over again. Because without the script, we are nothing but the story. Without the story, we are nothing but the ideal self. Whatever this so-called self-reality, self-eluding prophecy, self-idolization of self-esteem. We know what we are afraid of. We know what we have to do. We know what we have to say. We know what we have to become. We have to become the very version of ourselves, even when we are afraid. Even though when we don't want to try. Even though we don't want to do the things that we are afraid of. Because when we are afraid, that is when fear gets its own neck cut. And when the neck cuts, it bleeds. And when it bleeds into everything that it surrounds. And once it surrounds, it tells us where we have to go.
Who has that under voluntary control. And you also see that, like one of the central female stories, let's say, if the hero archetype is the central male story, there are variants of hero archetypes that are relevant to women, and one of them is Beauty and the Beast. And Beauty isn't interested in the guy who isn't the beast. She's interested in the guy who's the beast, and that's exactly right, but she's interested in the guy who's the beast that can be civilized and disciplined, right, and who can use that in the service, well, let's say, of a family. And that's exactly how it should be. Well, I also think that that's part of what makes a world peaceful in the final analysis, because if you're around people who are dangerous but disciplined, then everyone watches their step, and that's exactly what should happen. Everybody should watch their step, and if there's no reason for that, then there's no sanction for poor behavior, for example.
You write in the book, there is no faith and no courage and no sacrifice in doing what is expedient.
Vibe coders, ready to build more? Meet Base 44.
What do you say to those viewers that don't pursue their dreams and are locked in their careers?
When you're locked in your career, you can't get out. You can't pray. You can't ask for help. When you're locked, you're locked. You cannot move. You cannot vibe with the frequency because you're afraid to make myself believe that planet Earth turns. It's hard to say that I'd rather stay awake when I'm asleep. And everything is never as it seems when I fall asleep. And I don't open just a crack. Take me away from here. Pontiac, take me away from here. Mine ain't cheap, please take me away from here. No sleep.
Because they are too afraid.
When you are afraid, that is when to go. That is when to not stop. That is when you put pressure on the gas pedal and you never fucking quit. That is when you go. And when you go, you need to go now. Because if you wait just a second of time, then you will fall back on what is comfortable. And what is comfortable is not what it needs to be in your own reality. And when your reality comes barking at the door and knocking on the fucking door, barking, knocking, whatever the hell, that is when you put pressure on your dreams. That is when you never stop. That is when you continue on putting the wheel in drive. That is when you go. That is when you act. That is when you continue. That is when you do. And when you do those things, you feel the fire, you feel the rage, you feel the agony within your bones. Because you know what you are saying. Because you have to relive this same story countless and countless and countless of times.
To take risks and pursue something meaningful.
Well, the first thing I would say is, you should be afraid of taking risks and pursuing
Because that is your dreams.
something meaningful.
Because it's meaningful. Without meaningful dreams and passions and understandings, you may never get to the end of the line. And when you get to the end of the line, that is when you put pressure on the gas and never quit and never stop and never do because you are afraid. That's all I have for you guys. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.